Hey, I'm here with Mike from Codeable. Mike, why don't you introduce, because you showed me a really interesting piece of tech pretty much yesterday. Can you please share a little bit more how Codeable ties exactly into the web hosting market?
Yeah, so Codeable, real quick, is the world's first and largest WordPress freelancer marketplace. So we're like Upwork or TopTail or one of those things. We help hosting customers find success, and we work with a lot of hosting partners to help their clients that need custom development. Hosts can refer to us a lot of different ways, but we have a plugin for cPanel and a Plesk extension that also ties into a WordPress MU plugin that actually reduces how many support tickets the hoster gets by only sending the hoster the support tickets that are covered under their SLA. If it's outside the SLA, we'll say, hey, sorry, that's outside our agreement, but you can go over here to Codeable, and then the hoster will get the rev share, or their users will get discounted rates. And yeah, so that's kind of what we're launching.
So, like, we live in the world now where the assumption is like probably 90% of clients now host their website using WordPress for it, essentially. I know the stats say something like over 50% of all websites out there powered by WordPress, but
It's about 40, but yeah.
yeah, it's 40, but it could be like old websites. Any modern new account,
Sure, yeah.
the likelihood is like,
Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of the people that are setting the websites in WordPress at some point face an issue of some kind, and a lot of web hosting companies, as much as they have dedicated like WordPress solutions, cannot always be there to troubleshoot or develop or anything like that. So to the end client, so obviously the value is there, the value proposition. How does the end client, the end user, the client of a web hosting company, what's the process like for them exactly? Can you share that?
Yeah, so a user posts their project or their issue. It could be as simple as a small CSS fix to a full enterprise custom development project. So they post their project on our platform, then they'll get an estimate after they engage with a few of our experts. They won't have more than 5 experts be matched with them because we don't want to overload them with too much information. And then once they build a rapport, we don't allow estimates without a rapport and making sure the scope is fully developed. They'll get up to 3 estimates, and they'll pay an average across all those estimates. The reason we do the average, and we're the only ones that do this, is it takes the price separated from the service provider, because at the end of the day, we have a satisfaction guarantee, and all of our devs are great, and we want you to pick the right one for your project, the right time zone, the right experience that's going to be successful. And then, yeah, then the money just goes in escrow, the work gets done, then the client looks at it and approves it, and then the money releases to the developer, and the site launches, or the code gets handed over.
And what happens if a part of the solution requires the involvement of the company itself, the web hosting company? How does that relationship work?
Yeah, so we work with our partners a lot of different ways. So whenever an expert touches a project that involves one of our partners, we have an intranet that has like notes like, hey, this is our support contact, here's the forums, here's how you get access to the client account, because every host has a different preferred way for a developer to gain access to the client's account, and it's usually not the client giving them their own, their own credentials. And then, yeah, we usually have a shared Slack and things there. We guarantee we'll never recommend against the referring host ever, but we might work with the host to find the appropriate product. Because if they're on an entry-level shared and it's just hitting resources, we'll work with the host to find the right plan and then educate the customer on why they need to upgrade. But we'll never be like, oh, well, just move over to this other host, it'll solve all your problems. Because our partners are, where we get our success. So our hosts know they'll never be recommended against and risk losing that client.
So it sounds like an additional kind of revenue channel for some web hosting companies. But are there any tips for, let's say, like for web hosts to motivate their clients to like use Codeable as a solution?
Yeah, so the biggest benefit for the host is the client finds success. Whenever those clients have pain points, one or two things happen. The host will either say, go to the original plugin developer, or the theme developer, or find your own developer. And if it's a plugin or theme, they'll usually blame the host because it's easy, right? And they'll just do the finger pointing thing, and then the client's frustrated and might cancel their account. Or maybe they're a new WordPress user and they don't know how to use WordPress. Then they might cancel, or they'll find their own dev and they'll be a reseller somewhere. So the most important thing for the host is that it protects their revenue. So that's number one. Secondarily is, yes, we do some rev share back. And really the best way is just try to never say no. Find an option for your customers. Every host has a different level of support. Some of them spend a lot of time debugging and finding things. But if your support's taken all this time to figure out that, okay, it's not a hosting issue, but I've tried to fix it for you, take all those notes and then hand them over to a trusted partner like Codeable, where we can pick it up so the client doesn't need to repeat themselves and get frustrated, so they can just get their stuff solved. And that's why we're proud. Like, our average response time is like under, like 90% of all projects get first engagement in under like 30 minutes or something. So we're really fast, and we have staff around the clock, and happy to help.
And in terms of the price, basically, who pays for what and when?
Yeah, so I mean, most hosts just send them to us and the client pays directly. The minimum the client will pay is $80 US an hour. The most they'll pay is $120 US an hour. And then they'll pay the average across all estimates received. And they'll never have more than 3 estimates, so they're not going to be overwhelmed with 50 things to weed through or anything like that. And it goes into escrow, and then there's a satisfaction guarantee. So we only accept the top 2% of WordPress developers. It's a very limited pool of people that get accepted. And if something goes wrong, we have error and omission insurance, protection, and that guarantee. So, that's why our Trustpilot score is like 98.7% or something over the last 12 years.
Mike, thanks very much for chatting with me.
Thank you. Great meeting you.